My check 1 2. It's the Y2K collector, and we have 3 additions to the collection for this week so far. The first being this copy of DuckTales 2. DuckTales 2 was one that I think I had gotten a copy of this game, but there was something wrong with it, so I returned it and got a new copy. This one works and is fine. Then we have Mega Man 4. For some reason, I've been having an issue with my camera focusing. I don't know what the deal is with that, but we got Mega Man 4. And then we've got Piglet's Big Movie for the PlayStation 2. Now, this is cool. The disc looks great. The only thing is that it doesn't have a manual. But I kind of want to talk about that because, for a lot of collectors, condition makes a big difference. And condition factors a lot when it comes into how these retro games are being priced on the open market. And I think this is one of the biggest reasons why people do not like buying retro games from GameStop, especially disc-based games. The main reason is that when GameStop prices their games, they're obviously pulling their prices from price charting, right? Which, and for the most part, price charting gets their prices from eBay data for the most part, because I don't know if price charting also tracks like Mercari or OfferUp or Facebook Marketplace. I highly doubt that Mercari tracks all of the online platforms, but we do know that Mercari for the most part does track at least eBay. And what happens is there's the problem with GameStop deciding to now track eBay prices and list their games at eBay prices is that GameStop has not done that efficiently. GameStop is not efficient. What do I mean? I mean that GameStop still has not improved their online service to be able to let you know if the game you're buying is complete, is box only, is disc only. And so they price all of their games the same, whether it's only the disc or it's complete in box, which can be a bummer, right? Because we all know, especially those of you who buy video games online from eBay, you know that a game being complete, a game having its manual, a game only having the case, or having messed up cover art, or having a messed up manual, all those things factor into the price of a video game. And so if you have a game, let's say Silent Hill 3, which in perfect condition goes for $275, well, you already know that you can start discounting the price if there's water damage to the cover art, or if the label, or if there's a tear in the manual, or if it has no manual at all. And because there's this lack of pricing gradient with GameStop, this is a big part of the reason why I think a lot of people, a lot of collectors especially, opt to not buy their games from GameStop's website, even though you might be able to go on there and get a copy of Silent Hill 3 or Silent Hill 2, or even though you might be able to go on there and get, a really rare Super Nintendo game, or maybe a PlayStation game, PlayStation 1 or Dreamcast game, because it's mainly with the disc games. I don't think people really have as much of a beef with the cartridge. Like, I don't know, you have to be like more of a die-hard, like, cartridge-based collector to want all of your cartridge-based games complete in box. I never got that serious with third and fourth gen collecting. It doesn't mean I don't have some, like Super Nintendo games complete in box. And to be fair, the majority of my Sega Genesis games are complete in box, but that's just because of the durability of the clamshell case. And it's more nostalgic to me. Like, I grew up as a 5-year-old seeing a closet like filled with clamshell cases of just random Sega Genesis games. So that's more of a nostalgia thing for me. But just going back to the conditioning, this is a big part of the reason why I think a lot of collectors don't like buying games from GameStop, because they don't get that sense of security. They don't know if what they're buying from GameStop's website is going to come secure, not secure rather, but well, in some cases secure, but they don't know if it's going to come complete and in good shape. And as we kind of move further away from the gaming bubble hype, where people were just happy to get their hands on a retro game almost no matter what condition it was in, I think now more than ever, buyers and sellers are becoming even more and more particular about the condition of the games that they're buying. I think saw a video the other day. It might have been from, who was it? I can't remember. It's not coming to me right now, but they were at like a, not a convention, but it looked like a really large kind of like trade event. And they came across a complete in-box copy of Chrono Trigger for the Super Nintendo. I think the only thing that was missing, according to the video, was the actual registration card. And I believe that the seller that they were looking, that that had the game, said that with the registration card, that complete in box copy of Chrono Trigger would have been like $1,200, and how the just the registration card alone added like over $200 in value. And that's just, it's crazy to think that just one piece of paper has $200 worth of value. But once you start getting to that level of collecting, that's where things like that really do make the difference. And in that video, again, I'm trying to remember who it was, but they wound up not buying the copy of Chrono Trigger because I think the box wasn't like up to par. It wasn't that the box was damaged. It wasn't that the box, wasn't good or anything. It's just that the box did show some signs of wear. And once you start getting into those higher price brackets, 100, 200, 300, 500, 1,000, I think that collectors do have the right to be pretty meticulous about what they're buying. Collectors do kind of, you got to think about how much they're spending on this stuff. So I can understand why a collector might be real finicky about creases in cover art, or creases in the manual, or wrinkles, or signs of water damage, or even a smell. You know what I mean? Sometimes you might buy a game that sat in just a really funky room, or maybe sat in someone's basement, and it might look like it's in good condition, but it just has a really funky smell. And so sometimes even the smell can be a detractor, can take away from some of that value. And I've gotten games before where I know people like put like all kinds of fabric softeners in the cases to like, get the smell out, especially if it came from a home where people were like heavy smokers. There's different tricks that people try to do to eliminate odors from consoles and games. But I think it's just getting very, very tricky now. And unfortunately, when you do order games from GameStop, all these three games came from GameStop. You will run into situations where you don't get the case or manual. Sometimes I will keep a game without the manual when I'm buying it from GameStop. There are instances where I'll be willing to do that. I think it just depends on the game and how hard it is for me to find the game. And then there are other instances where I won't. In order for me to keep a game with no manual, the case and cover art have to be in great shape, and the disc has to be in great shape. Only then will I even consider a game with no manual. But after that, I'm constantly on the hunt now, trying to see if I can locate the manual, and sometimes it's just really, really tough. A couple games in my collection that I'm really on the hunt for manuals for are Guitar Man on the PlayStation 2. I have a good handful of games, PlayStation 2 games with no manual, but Guitar Man is one game that I need a manual for. Fallout Brotherhood of Steel is another one that I need a manual for. And those are the two that really pop out to me because those are the hardest to find manuals for out of all the games that I have, case and disc only. So we'll see if I can get my hands on it. We'll see if I can kind of get these games without manuals up to par. But let me know in the comments down below how important condition is to you and how much of a role you think it plays in pricing today, and the willingness of collectors to purchase these games. Thank you for watching. Let me know your comments down below. I'll catch you in the next one. It's the Y2K Collector. Take it easy.